Today we're going to be thinking about the next emotion in our series of thinking about emotional well-being. So far we've looked at anxiety, we've looked at anger, and we've looked at loneliness. And today we're going to be thinking about sadness. I'm sure if we ask you the question, when was the last time you felt sad, or is there something you felt sad about recently, many of us would be able to answer yes. But I wonder what that sadness comes from. What causes us to feel sad? Just as we were thinking about last week, loneliness is quite a negative emotion. We often think about it as. Sadness can be thought of as a really negative emotion. But just as we thought about last week, loneliness having a positive to it, in that it reminds us that we need connection, we need relationship with others. Sadness can also have a positive to it. See, sadness teaches us the value of things in our lives. When we feel sad because something isn't in our lives anymore, or maybe never was in the first place. Sadness teaches us the value of people. It teaches us the value that we hold on things. It teaches us the value that we attribute to experiences as well. I know when I think back over my life, I can think of lots of times when I've been sad. I can think of lots of big kind of experiences that led me to feel quite sad. When I was 4.5, we moved from Scotland to England. And we moved away from family and friends. Everyone I knew we moved away from. And I felt sad at that. Not only did I feel sad about leaving people behind, but also experiences as well. We left our house and had to move to a different house. When I left primary school, I remember being sad about that. I was excited because I'd got into the secondary school I wanted to get into. But I was sad about leaving behind friends, sad about leaving behind what felt comfortable and safe in our primary school to move into secondary school. I knew I was ready for it, but I still felt sad about it. And similarly, when I left school to go to university, I was really excited about going to university. I was more than ready to move away for university, but I was sad about leaving school. I was sad again about the safety aspect, about leaving that behind. I moved away, sad about leaving my family behind again, and also leaving friends behind. And there have been other times in my life where I felt a real deep sadness, particularly at the loss of people. I was only 7 when I lost the first of my grandparents, and I remember being super sad, just not really understanding what was going on, but just knowing that I was sad. I lost my two other grandparents when I was finishing university. And many of you will know that just 2 years ago, I lost both my dad and my gran in really quick succession. My dad especially being a real shock loss. And one of the things about sadness is that when something has, or someone has meant more to us, has had greater value, then the sadness has a greater impact. The sadness can be deeper and stronger and can last for longer as well. So my sadness over not getting to visit friends because a work meeting came up doesn't last for as long or feel as deep as the sadness I experienced over losing my dad. I know that over this past 6 months, lots of us will have had many points of feeling sad. Maybe you have just moved into S1 and leaving primary school came with an even deeper sadness for you than maybe it would have done for many of us in the past, because there's experiences that you missed out on. There were opportunities that you missed out on. I know for those who were going off to uni this year, who were finishing school this year, speaking to them, there was great sadness over the missed opportunities, things like prom, like their last day at school, that chance to say goodbye in the way that they planned to with their friends. Maybe the things that you've felt sadness over in the past 6 or 7 months has been friendships. Maybe you felt sad about not being able to spend time with your friends. You felt sad about not being able to spend time with family. Maybe you felt sad about missing out on something like a holiday or some kind of experience. Maybe it was the birthday plans you had that didn't get to happen. Sometimes our loss is because we had something and it goes away, and then we feel a sadness from that. Sometimes our sadness comes because we'd hoped for something that we don't get to have. Sadness appears quite a lot in the Bible, and we see it particularly many times in the story of Jesus in the Gospels. We see Jesus grieving over things. And often when we talk about grief, what we're talking about is somebody having had something and then losing it. We see Jesus grieving over the loss of Lazarus, a passage that you're going to look at in just a few minutes. Jesus weeps at the loss of his friend. We also see Jesus weeping, at Jesus grieving over the state of Jerusalem, looking out and saying, this is not what it was supposed to be like. God had relationship with these people, and now look at it, it's in a mess. The relationship was there, even looking right back to Adam and Eve. There was this close relationship where God walked in the garden with Adam and Eve, and then Jesus looks at the state of Jerusalem and he says, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. Jesus also grieves deeply, feels deep, deep sadness in the Garden of Gethsemane. Those moments where the human in him comes through, where the thought of what could be if his life were to continue in the way it had. Maybe that human instinct to want to prolong life, thinking that it is the best way forward. But actually in the Garden of Gethsemane, as Jesus' sadness begins to overtake him, he chooses to say to God, do you know what? This is in your hands. I'm giving it to you. Not my will, but your will. And that's really difficult for us when things lead us to feel sad. We struggle to say that to God. I know I do. When I felt deep sadness and grief over the loss of people, over the loss of situations, experiences, things, I struggle to say to God, not my will, but yours. I struggle to put my trust in God, but I know that it is the best way forwards. And one of the things I've learned over the years is that putting my trust in God comes about when I choose it. I can't wait till I feel like I can put my trust in God. I have to choose to say it. And often when I keep saying it, eventually I do it. The amount of times I had to say after my dad died, God, not my will, but your will. God, I trust you. God, I trust you. Eventually I could feel it in my life. I was trusting God. But at the start, it was simply words. But when we choose to keep saying those words, God can change our hearts. Do whatever is going on with you right now, I do encourage you that if you are feeling sadness at any level, a little bit of sadness or a deep, deep grieving sadness, I encourage you to talk to someone. And it might seem like each week when we talk about a different emotion, we say, talk to someone, share it with someone. Hopefully you're beginning to get the message. Talking to one another is important. Talking to those who can listen to us and support us is important. And talking to God is important. So choosing to put our trust in God, even if we have to keep telling our souls that's what we want to do, and talking to people about our sadness. Two really important things to remember.